Hey guys, okay, so it's been a while since I've made a video. I'm not real good at like scheduling tutorials and kind of planning them out and stuff, but I do spend a lot of time in Inkscape, and I would like to share. I mean, it's a really good program. I'm into t-shirt design. I think a lot of the people that you know look for videos like this about Inkscape or whatever is probably also into t-shirt design or some type of graphic design. So I'm just going to try and kind of record stuff that I think would help other people. And the first thing is, one thing that I see a lot is people will compare Illustrator to Photoshop, and they're just, it's apples and oranges. I mean, one of them is a Raster program, and then this Inkscape is a vector program. So as far as comparison to Adobe, it would be compared to Illustrator, not Photoshop. GIMP would be the one that would be compared to Photoshop, and I prefer working in vector stuff. I just like the cleanliness of lines, and I mean, once you get used to it, but it's just a difference. And that's kind of what this video is about, is just to kind of show the difference between the two, between a raster program and a vector program. So we're in Illustrator right now, and this is a PNG, and I just got this off of Pixabay. I don't know whose it is, but I'm just using it as an example. So at first glance, this just looks like a graphic, but here's the difference. This is a pixelated, it's a raster graphic. Okay, so if you zoom in, you're going to see how it's pixelated. See the lines? This thing is made up of little tiny squares. Now the difference between this and a vector, okay, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and right click this. Go ahead and select it, then right click it and trace bitmap. We'll say OK. We've got colors, 8 scans. OK. Now, here's the difference. Now this is a vector. OK, and when we scroll in, you'll see no matter how close in you go, it's a series of lines. It will not pixelate. Now you'll see these. They're trying to make up the difference for what the pixels did in the other image. So, and also here's another thing is you can tell the difference, which you can obviously tell. I mean, it wasn't able to match the shading and different stuff like that. It's just a different world, I mean, it's a totally different, they're just uncomparable. You can't compare this to Photoshop. But here's another option too, to where it's like, so we come over here and grab the Edit Paths by Nodes tool. Then when we highlight this, you see nothing happens. But when you come over here and highlight this one, you see how it turns red. This is showing the lines of what this is actually drawn from. And all these little lines, like whatever section you grab, all these little lines, they're able to be manipulated. So it's actually broke down into a series of lines and shapes, and versus this is just a bunch of colored squares that make up the photo, that make up the image. So there's no manipulating this really, especially in Inkscape. If you were to want to do anything with this, I would suggest going with GIMP or Photoshop, with the Raster program, because then you can come in and those programs lend themselves well to like painting and clipping around, and like trying to cut something out where you're removing the background and stuff like that. You would, in my opinion, you would be far better off trying to use a raster program versus a vector program, because see, we do have tools to where you can kind of go around stuff, and choose it, but generally it's working in lines, and it's not going to it's not going to be the same. It's this is pixelated. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it, but that pretty much I would think that this kind of clarifies the difference. So this is a raster, this is a vector, and this is a raster. And now you can do this quality of work in a vector. This is a conversion, so that's why it looks like that. But you can do something that looks like this in a vector program once you understand how the program works. There's tons of tutorials out there and different artists that work in vector, and you can totally. This probably was at one time was probably a vector. Someone made it, with a vector program, whether it be Illustrator or Inkscape. But anyway, this is just that's really all I was wanting to talk about in this video, is just the difference between a vector image and a raster image. So if you're like, well, what should I use or whatever, it's really just personal preference. You know, play with both, see which one you enjoy more, because the tools available and how it's going to work is going to vary. But you honestly kind of need to dig into both, because I used to be like almost intimidated by Inkscape, and then just over time I've just chosen it over GIMP. I use GIMP and Inkscape, and I mean Adobe's not even an option for me because I use Linux. So they don't even have Adobe for Linux. So it's like I've got to make the best use of these tools. And honestly, I don't feel any limitations or anything like that. They do everything that I want them to do. They're fast. They very seldom crash. I mean, they're really stable. But again, I'm on Linux. I don't know how much it would vary if you're on Windows or Mac. But I don't hear a whole lot of complaints about it being unstable. They're very flexible. And so I mean, definitely give them a try. They're open source software, so they're available for free download. You're available, you're free to use them as you wish. And give it a try. It's free. There's no cost to you except for your time to learn how to do it. But you can do pretty much anything you want to do in Inkscape. Anything that you can imagine, you can probably find a way to get it done. So, but anyway, that's it for this one. Just really going over the difference between a raster program or a raster file and a vector file. And as you can see, like I said, this one is made up with lines, and this one is made up with pixels. So this would be Photoshop / GIMP type of a graphic. This would be Illustrator / Inkscape type of a graphic. And you can mix and match, as far as because obviously you can import PNGs or JPEGs into Inkscape, but you cannot import vectors into a raster program, because it'll automatically convert it to a PNG or a JPEG. It'll convert it into a raster image, to where if you can import PNG and it stays as a PNG, then you can convert it to a vector file. But anyway, I hope that helps, guys. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to post them below. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've posted a video, but like I said, I'm just I'm not real good at kind of planning out tutorials and stuff, so this will probably be kind of sporadic and not really going deep into anything. Hopefully, I mean, that's just how I am, and I really respect people. Like Logos by Nick, that's a great guy to follow. He does a lot of organized tutorials. You can learn a bunch from him. And I have a lot of respect for him, because he actually goes through the process of actually planning it out, explaining it step by step, and I've learned a bunch from his videos also. So that might be somebody you definitely want to check out. Just search for the Logos by Nick, and I'm sure he'll come up. And he uses a ton of Inkscape and GIMP, and he makes a ton of tutorials. And like I said, I just really commend him on his work. I think there's kind of a shortage of people that really go in depth with Inkscape. I personally would like to go in depth myself, but I don't seem to have the focus, as far as I'm too scatterbrained. But I will try and start putting up some videos that are specifically kind of about t-shirt graphics, and hopefully it'll help. Like I said, don't look at me don't look to me as being a good coach or anything like that, because I'm just not good about organizing the videos. But I spend a few hours a day anyway in Inkscape, and I may as well start trying to kind of record some of it and share with you guys and explain what I'm doing as I do it, and then maybe it'll shed some light on it, because Inkscape's a very good, powerful program. I mean, it's if you dive in there and just take the time to learn it, you'll see you can pretty much create anything you want to create. So, but anyway, that's all it for now, guys. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to post them below, and I sure appreciate you watching, and just enjoyed designing those t-shirts.